I don't see how I could not be on the river. It's just part of who I am, and so I don't really have a choice. It's almost it's beyond my will. I have to be on the water, and so that not only is the reason that I'm there, but also inspires me to keep being there, even though maybe the facets of where and how I spend my time on the water are changing, always changing, but that underlying passion really is ingrained and it won't go anywhere.
Tumwater Canyon, that's probably the highlight of our career. All through Washington's river rafting industry, guides have traveled down Tumwater Canyon by car, bus, bike, whatever, looking over the edge of that guardrail going, holy.
And here's the game. Already been standing here about 15 minutes talking about it, and it still doesn't look any better.
And you get nervous and practically sick as you're standing there in your street clothes thinking about running it. So nobody ever ran it because it was beyond runnable in those days. It would end up in a disaster. It was a cold April 7th on the Upper Wenatchee, and I shoved off at Tumwater Canyon campgrounds. We made it down to the wall, and I was on the other side of the river scouting it, going, wow, this doesn't look so bad from this side, you know, it looked gnarly from the road side, and I got over on the other side and I thought, well, this ain't so bad, you know, we can do it. And I wasn't nervous, you know, I was probably beyond fear. And Luca looked at me and said, we got to quit meeting like this. We hopped in that thing and shoved off, and the very first drop spun me around backwards. It was the first time I knew what the word pushy meant. Nobody believed that we were going to do it, so the camera guys showed up late when we were halfway through the run. But we had throw bags positioned on the side of the river and everything, and you know, safety first. Like they were going to matter with a boat that weighs 2 tons.
We start going back into the mid-80s, early 1990s. There were so many things that were going on in different parts of the world that were starting to influence what was going on in the Columbia River Gorge in the Pacific Northwest. Guys like Jib Ellison had these visions of taking Project Raft, an international rafting competition, and figuring out where to place those. Those were going on out in Russia. In 91, it was going on down in Costa Rica. You had local guys like Doc Loomis that were going out and bringing back ideas that didn't exist around here. The paddle cat, that came out of Russia. You had catarafts quickly advancing over in Idaho with the Airboys. You had Moravia and you had Sotar coming up with these incredibly strong and durable rafts. And all of that stuff was starting to filter into what was going on locally.
Little white salmon is probably my favorite. When we got down to these drops where we was portaging last time, I just started running them with the IK, and everything turned out okay. So I got some guys and we went back in there and R2'd it, come out okay, and then we just kept going back till we got it dialed in on all the drops and how to run all the drops.
Another thing that was really going off there right around 90, 91, 92, the boats were getting better, the paddlers were getting better, and everybody started to look at the Northwest paddling scene in a totally different way. You had rivers like the upper sections of the Cispus River, you had the Ohanapakash River, you had the Clear Fork of the Cowlitz, the Quilcene River, these rivers that nobody could touch before because of not just the mindset that we had that they were unrunnable, but also the boats that we had that made them unrunnable. And when that mental paradigm shifted ever so slightly with the manufacturers and the paddlers, then everything came together perfectly and all these new runs opened up.
all these runs that say no rafts in the book, the sport is definitely being pushed. It's changed. The dynamic's changed.